Today, we're going to talk about the importance of communicating contract changes or renegotiations via voice and in writing. I got pretty sloppy recently and didn't listen to my own advice. So I want you to take a listen to my story and I promise it'll be valuable to you. Stick around. Let's go! So recently, I put an apartment deal under contract. The buyer had their inspections, and during the inspections, some physical issues were found that they could not have known about prior to going to contract. And those issues were fairly significant for what they were. A couple of them needed to be taken care of immediately. The buyer and I hopped on a phone call and he gave me a few options to propose to the seller, which I loved. Having more than one option than just a price change is helpful. The buyer needed one of those options to occur in order for them to move past due diligence. I called the seller on the phone and communicated the three options for him to choose from. The seller wanted some time to think about it and said he'd get back with me. The seller did get back with me the next day and communicated a counteroffer to me via text. I then communicated that counteroffer to the buyer via text. Stupid. The buyer then thought about it for a little bit and texted me back a counteroffer. And of course, I texted that new counteroffer back to the seller, and the seller then texted me back another counteroffer. The buyer then texted me back that they would probably accept that offer, but just wanted to make sure it did include X. And here is where the miscommunication breakdown occurs. I did not bring up X in my counteroffer texting between buyer and seller because it wasn't something that was initially discussed, but I started to see where the miscommunication was. Not to go into too much detail about a deal you aren't involved in and don't care about, but basically, I interpreted some former text from the buyer totally different than the way the buyer thought that he was communicating it to them. And when I reread the text, I certainly see how he was right about the way he was thinking, and I could see how someone could read my part and believe the way I thought about that text. But in the end, it's really no one's fault except my own for being lazy and not simply picking up the phone to communicate in a better manner, which is my job as a broker. What happens in our industry is a deal starts moving so fast and you're going back and forth via phone calls, emails, text messages, and you have 100 other things going on in your business that in the moment you just do what's fastest and easiest. And texts oftentimes happen that way. Especially with text, which our brain is already programmed to read quickly and respond quickly. And when you read quickly, sometimes you miss pertinent facts. And because you can't hear a voice or see it in writing written in an email more eloquently, you miss the flavor or the nature of what's trying to be communicated. I gotta tell you, it was a terrible feeling as a broker to work so hard to bring two parties who were once so far apart finally together to get them to stretch enough each way to make things work, only later to have to come back and ask for another stretch. So a lesson learned by this guy right here. From now on, I'm going to be way more vigilant in having verbal phone calls when communicating things that important and backing them up in writing in an email when someone can take the time to write out something and we usually reread it. Emails usually eliminate most miscommunications. I hope this video was very valuable to you, and if it was, please give me a like and a subscribe down below. Make sure you hit that little notification bell because that sends you my videos each week they come out. I'll see you guys in the next one.